perfectly fine.
I thought for sure.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I'm the one that had you on stuff. I was.
Not parts usually seen, but.
That's gonna be your new office.
Are you pleased to be out on these Saturdays, folks?
I guess I'd like to officially call this meeting to order for the Seneca County Board of Commissioners, Tuesday, April 22nd. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to ask Commissioner Wagner to give the prayer, please.
Please join me in prayer. Lord, we thank you for this time to meet and discuss county business. We thank you for all those who came to participate today. We ask for your guidance and your grace. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Stacy?
Here.
Commissioner Buller?
Here.
Commissioner Wagner?
I'm here.
We'll have the signing of the journal, and I'd accept a motion to approve the DVD recording of the previous session from Monday, April 12th, and the written index of that meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Moved in second, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Approved, thank you. Prior to getting to any adjustments for our agenda, I'd like to call upon our Seneca County Clerk of Courts, Mary Ward, to come forward.
Thank you.
Mary has an announcement for us.
I do. Morning, everybody. It is a full house today, isn't it? Of course.
Somebody get a Kleenex first.
No Kleenexes. I was told I can't do that. So I'm just going to read this. It's easier for me. Following much consideration and after 26 years of service to Seneca County, I'm announcing my retirement. My last day will be Friday, May 30th, 2014. I would like to share my sincere gratitude from the bottom of my heart to the many public employees and officials who assisted me throughout the years. You have made my career so fulfilling, and I will always treasure our time working together. I'm so thankful of having been given the opportunity to serve our county. As my career is, let me read it here. Sorry, I lost my spot. And to implement so many changes that I know will continue to benefit our community in the future. So now, a new beginning for me, a new journey. And the time everyone calls retirement. It will be a difficult transition, really, as my career has been a passion for so many years to me. It's been more than just a job. However, I am eager to begin this new chapter in my life with my loving husband, Chris, my family, and friends. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for your support. And then I want Jean Echoberry to come forward, and I'm going to read her little thing. We've been talking a while. Don't start it, because I didn't bring my Kleenexes. So I am recommending Jean Echoberry, whom I had the pleasure of knowing for a very long time, as the candidate for the Seneca County Clerk of Courts position. I've worked with Jean for the last 15 years in her capacity as the civil bailiff and court administrator for Common Pleas Court 2. Jean is very familiar with the duties and processes of the Clerk of Court's daily operations due to her position with the courts. She has already established a good working relationship with the Clerk of Court staff, attorneys, other county courts, and the public. She is very organized, efficient, dependable, trustworthy, and hardworking. Jean is also a very professional person. Jean listens to circumstances on an issue, asks opinions, and reviews all potential solutions before making a decision. Jean is also experienced in the administrative duties of the clerk's office due to her responsibilities within the Common Pleas Court. I am confident with her experience and knowledge she will continue to advance the interests of our county, and I have no doubt Jean will prove to be a valuable asset to Seneca County as the next Seneca County Clerk of Courts, and I give her my highest recommendation. Thank you. You're welcome. So thank you all very much. It's 26 years. It's been good. There's been good times and bad times, but you always seem to get through them. And it's just really been an honor. You know, you think in your lifetime what you would do, but I never thought I'd do this. So I appreciate everybody's support. So,
Oh, Mary, thank you greatly for your service for 26 years, 13 years as the clerk of courts. And
You're welcome.
And appreciate the recommendation.
Yes.
We'll
the
proceed
best
with
person.
that, and once we've had a chance, we've just learned of this, so we'll do that, what we need to do to put an interim in place, and then it'll go through the process, and we'll check with prosecutor Devine on time frame of when those things all have to take place by the
Wonderful.
ORC.
Yay.
If I could just add thank you to Mary, not only for the number of years of service to the county, but also for your recommendation. I'm very interested in being the clerk of courts, and I would like the board's support to be appointed as the interim clerk of courts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not picking.
Excuse me.
At this point, do I have any adjustments to add to the agenda?
Just a couple of things I wanted to make an announcement about the April 30th, that the city and the county are going to have a demonstration for the cold patching, or this new system is hot patching.
What day was that?
April 30th at 2 o'clock, and I understand it's to be an announced location. I just spoke with them this morning, and a couple places the mayor would like to have test patched, and this is referenced as newfangled hot patch process to see if it's, that Finley uses in some cases, and to see if it's feasible for the county. Got nothing to do with the city, but we thought while we're there, could do a demonstration for both the city and the county. So if my fellow commissioners and our engineer would like to be there, they will notify us where, but it's April 30th at 2 o'clock.
You still want me to send townships, see if they want to come up?
My thought is, why not invite any of the township trustees that got to do with road patching and so forth? It may be a better alternative than what they're doing, you know, until we investigate the whole thing, but I would have no reason why we wouldn't want to invite them.
Anything else to add to the?
Yeah, the only other thing is just get an update on where we are in the status of cleaning the annex building. We talked about doing that, or we could discuss that
Okay,
at this meeting here.
all right. Stacy, did you have anything to add? Nicole? All right. And we'll start with our old business. What we've got, first thing listed here is the joint chip application. And as the representative for the county at that meeting we had on Thursday, I guess Thursday afternoon, we received the draft copy of the joint cooperating agreement between the Seneca County, City of Fostoria, and the City of Tiffin. And so that was presented to us, and I've actually already got that circulated back around through the prosecutor's office, and he is okay with the agreement. There was a couple adjustments made that WSOS sent back out, but they're very, very minor, and we knew those. I think my copy I sent Derek was marked up for those changes already. So that's where that stands at this point, but we are at the need of coming to some consensus. We're kind of at a stop hold because of concerns of how the administrative percentage is used. Okay, so I needed to bring this up with the two of you here, and I know the Seneca County Regional Planning, who administers the grants, the CHIP grant for us, and this will be for the first time for the city, correct? Aaron, the Regional Planning didn't do your CHIP stuff before.
It's always been cited.
Yeah, it's always been with SIDC, so it'll be through, since it's a joint application, this is a streamlined process that is being offered for us to do the CHIP grants, and there's some incentive for us all participating together in doing it this way of some monies. So the total of the grant possible available is $975,000 with the three entities together. 12% of that, $117,000, is the total grant amount that can be used for administrative type activities. And that's the amount that we're having concerns with, obviously not the other. And again, this is just the application if we get the monies. And I'm sure, obviously, all three entities are very much interested in doing that. We as a county agreed at a previous meeting to serve as the grantee, or, you know, the pivot point, I guess, for all three entities with this. The asking difference of that administrative is the point of contention at this point a bit. And Aaron chairs regional planning, and you're gonna have an executive committee meeting this afternoon to address that, and I know you sit on that
Yeah,
executive
2:30
committee.
today.
Yeah, so you'll be there, so I don't know what questions either of you have for me with, I've got the material here, but there was a difference between what they were expecting, regional planning thought they should have, and that what they think is agreeable for their portion of the responsibilities of the grants, if received, and then what WSOS has and what they typically do with all of their communities that they administer grants for. The other part of this is I do not know, and I'm not gonna put David on the spot over here, but I don't know what SIDEX, they weren't able to be at the meeting, so I don't know what, if they was in agreement, because I don't even know what those amounts were for the environmental portion that SIDEX got.
We've given WSOS an amount that we can cover our cost, and currently that doesn't fit within their parameters, but they haven't gotten back to us officially yet.
Okay, okay.
We kind of rely on Mr. Corley to help us structure that application so that it's accepted. So
Yes.
I think whatever number we can put in there for administration, as long as it puts us in good position. We want to be able to cover our costs. We have to make sure that it covers the cost of Jill and her people to do that, but we don't want to get so high that puts us.
Well, from what I understand, the admin fees are set in there. It's just a matter of how this is going to be distributed amongst WSOS and
Okay.
SIDEC and the regional planning. But the amount is set.
The amount is
How
set,
it's going to
yes.
be distributed is where there
Okay.
tends to be some room for contention.
Well, we'll have to get the three parties in the room then.
Yeah, and I talked to Ruth Ann on Monday, and we certainly don't want to in any way harm it or anything else. So they're gonna, we're gonna work together to make sure it goes. So.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to share it with these two so they knew, and like I said, there's a meeting this afternoon, but that was from the meeting on Thursday afternoon, so that's what I had on that. There's no other questions. All right. Board of Elections is the next item we have listed on the agenda under old business. At this point in time,
They aren't here, are they?
no, their newest member, who has not been sworn in, was here, and he walked out with me, I believe. But he would not be, he's probably not been through all the paperwork and swearing in yet. But at this point, I don't know that there's anything acted on. I guess my feeling, I will share on the space issue, is we presented an option to them because of the interest they had in three main issues, and that was ADA, space, and security. And so in thinking of how we could address those things and not have to put a lot of monies into any county facility, and we have lots of county facilities in different buildings, and presented an option to them back in the fall that in late February, they came back to us with some questions and seemed to show some interest in that spot. But at this point in time, giving lots of activity going on with the Board of Elections, and until they are made whole as a board, because their new appointed member has not even been sworn in yet, and until the staff is back in place, although I understand there have been some temporary hires as of last night to get us through to guarantee our citizens and our candidates of Seneca County that we're going to have an adequate and fair election, that I just don't think that we should do anything at this point in time on the issue. That's my opinion, so I'm going to leave that.
Well,
Open for discussion.
I've done a little research on the thing, and I'm a little disappointed with the Board of Elections. At last meeting, I asked them if they would get to me in writing what they felt was needed to make it ADA accessible, and then also put the wish list. So I had it in writing so we could start coming down to bullet points of what we had to do. Well, I didn't get that, but I did inquire with a local contractor who's very, very knowledgeable on ADA accessible things, and the company has went and looked at the current Board of Elections downtown in the building, the old LaSalle's building, and he's given us a cost of $7,500, and that would take one of the parking spaces over at the current parking area, not on the roads. Actually, we had the city engineer that was there. So we looked at making it out front or putting it over in the side. We could make one of those parking spaces into two, or two of those parking spaces into one, make it ADA accessible, cut out the portion of the wall, and the front door, it is already ADA accessible, this is by law, and he said they had to get a grinder out. Apparently there's some issues there, they have to make some minor modifications in it. Now that would make the place ADA accessible. As far as they talk about early voters and the privacy, to me, I think that's a very easy solution. I know when I go in the voting booth, there's real simple curtains that they've got there, and we certainly can install those in that location. But again, what I was asking for the Board of Elections is give me a list. As far as ADA accessible, I think we can solve that by just making these minor modifications. Again, the cost is $7,500, which I think is relatively cheap. You know, when we move, if we would move out to JFS, we're kidding ourselves to think we're gonna do it for nothing. There's gonna be cost involved. You're gonna have to do a wall or electric or something or other, so we could keep downtown and with minimal cost and take care of the ADA accessibility issue. If there's other things, again, that's why I asked them to give me in writing so we can look at what all their wish list is. We gotta take care of the legalities first, and then from there take care of the wish list. I see no reason why we cannot continue to operate the Board of Election downtown. Feel very strong towards that.
I thought they were gonna be here today they were supposed to look at the JFS
Yeah.
space and come back and let us know what they thought.
That's what they said at the last session.
Maybe they're figuring on 10:30 or something. I know it says 10:10 on our sheet. They figuring on a later time?
If they come in, we'll see what they bring, but they, at this point, have not presented anything
Okay.
to come back with that information. And like I said, I'm thinking at this point, until those other things, so the board is made whole and their staff is 100% back to staffing levels with permanent, I guess, you know, people in places and attempts, or parts, whatever you want to call them, that we'll handle this issue at that point in time.
I hear their concerns that there has to be a plan in place by the next election. I hear that. In my mind, there is a plan in place, and we got a price tag with it of $7,500.
Yeah, the ADA is a very small thing. That's, to me, that's ADA compliant right now, in my thinking. I just wonder about the space issue, you know, it is a tight fit. I think that's the only early voting location in the county. I was gonna ask them that, but I think that's the only early voting location in the county. Let's hear what they have to say when they come in, if they come in.
I guess we will.
Yeah.
I'm open to.
Have to wait under
whatever.
them, and there is always the likelihood of a special election, so don't worry, get done with this one to have a special one. That wouldn't be till August, but they'll be right back into that cycle again, so I'm not sure we could even take care of anything prior to them having another election, but we'll wait and see what we hear from them.
Okay.
Okay. Next item on the agenda of old business is the RTA building, which is what our graphics are for here.
Yeah, we inquired with the insurance company with some of the mold issues and the water infiltration at the RTA building, and they flatly turned us down. They said it was a maintenance issue and that there's no recourse that we can go back through that. But again, we've had a outside contractor come in, and I've got two bids here, or not two bids, I got for each of the commissioners here, a bid of $39,035, which they feel, this contractor, and it's Klaus Construction, where they could come in and remediate the mold that is there, which you can't see it well, but that's the ceiling, above the ceiling tiles in the RTA building, where they can remediate that, take care of the mold issue, and they feel they can correct where the water's infiltrating it. There's someone's in the doorway, and there's some issues with the flower pots and so forth and so on. I think that would take care of that. In addition, if we decide to go forward and pressure wash or steam clean the building, the part of the bid for Mr. Bridenball was also to caulk all the windows in, so that could take care of all of those issues there. And I think for $39,000 for remediation and repairing of where the water's coming in and pressure washing the building, I think was about 75 or 8,500.
I've never received anything.
Didn't,
from
okay,
him.
well, I think he's verbally, what I recall, is something, I asked if that would include caulking, and he said that it does. So, under $50,000, that's two separate processes. We could have the building cleaned, we could have the remediation for the mold taken care of, and we could have what is anticipated for the fix to rectify the problem.
That was the same person? The cleaning?
No, cleaning is separate, would be with Brine Ball, is where we get a bid at, where I got a verbal quota, and I want to say it was $75,000 or $8,000, and we'll have to get a.
That's a
formal-
later issue, this is separate.
Yeah, separate, the two separate issues there. Two separate issues, but $39,000 would be to remediate the mold and to fix where the water infiltration's coming in.
I know it's obviously not within the need to have to do a bid process, but do we need to have a comparable quote from, I mean,
Matter
I
of
mean, I
fact,
gratefully
when I talked to the
respect
contractor
what they've done
today,
for us over the years of
Yeah.
giving us a lot of, advice without charging us anything, but we do have other contractors in the county, and I just get concerned of not inquiring.
they
So I
welcome
don't know if
that
we need to.
because quite frankly, this is gonna be a tough job. So they welcome to have alternative bids come in. When I made that statement today, that we may wanna look at outside, get another bid, and he said, please do. So it isn't something that, I mean, so yeah, I'm very receptive to that, to have some outside, but I think this is affordable. I was in fear of something into the 200,000+ range is where I was, and this turned out to be substantially less than that. And he brought an outside structural engineer in, so we've got some professional people that looked at it, and I think they can correct the problem as best as what can be done. But I'm very open, and the contractor is too. We want to get an outside bid, fine.
We absolutely have to take care of the source of the water, wherever that, and we know it's the flower pots, maybe it's something else too. So we absolutely have to do it, and the bid threshold is 50,000, okay. I do think we'll get another quote, this, just for the press, as you quote, this is not a bid, this is a quote. So I do think we should get another quote from somebody. Who else would we get a quote from?
Alveda do that work, type of work?
Could be, who do you think, Rich? Who does that kind of?
Alveda, probably Tom Daniel.
Okay.
Oh, Tom Daniels would be a good one, yeah.
Okay.
Could be a very competitive quote there.
Why don't we ask those two and see if they want to?
I'll be glad to call Tom and start the process unless the commissioner wants to do it. I think it's something that we gotta do.
Yeah.
We've gotta take care of, you got water infiltrating the building, eventually it's gonna destroy it, so we gotta do something.
Yeah. All right, we'll get a couple more quotes and see where we go. Next item listed that we've added is the annex cleaning.
Where do we stand at with that?
Our current cleaner has been working on that diligently. We have brought our new cleaner on starting yesterday. He's working with Dean and the other maintenance on first shift to get the gist of the buildings, get the stuff learned, knowing where he needs to go. So our current cleaner is focusing on that building, letting the other ones go to let Crossways doing our other two buildings, and maintenance with the new gentleman who's working on the other two buildings. So we're working on it. And Dwight said he had been working on it since we had received the letter from the judges. It just takes some time since he was by himself, but he's talked to his other maintenance, and they're gonna see about working some overtime, since you guys said that was okay.
This is carpet cleaning, portion of walls.
Yep,
Cleaning the drapes, doing a
Yep.
overall spring cleaning type thing.
yep. They're probably easier to do them on a Saturday when there's not a bunch of people in there, so they're not disrupting anything. So, yep.
Makes sense.
And we'll have to we have to,
Yes.
we'll have to coordinate with the court to make sure that they know for security reasons.
Sure, yep.
Am I allowed to ask? I just want to know, make sure that juvenile court has got a cleaner now then too?
He just started yesterday, so we'll get him down to your building and,
All right, because we have,
Yep.
as you know.
Yep.
For a while.
yep.
Is this the fellow that come from the
Youth Center.
Yeah, so
Yes.
you should
Yeah,
know
one
the
that was
individual.
toured around. Yeah.
Yep.
Anything else for that?
No, no.
Okay. Then you added the April 30th demonstration, and just, I guess, was that everything on that? We just know the date, time, we just don't know location?
Yeah.
And we'll get
And,
word out to the trustees?
they will be notifying us, like apparently the mayor is uncertain of a couple different options, and once you notify them, they will notify us, and we'll make sure to get it to the trustees. You may want to get it to the trustees now, at least they can pencil in that date and the time. As to where we're gonna meet, I don't know yet.
Would it all be, it'll probably walking distance if we just had them maybe come here, park here? Maybe?
May or may not be.
May or may not be. So they're probably gonna ask me where.
I gave them 3 options,
Okay.
and they were supposed to go investigate it, let me know which section worked best for them, so.
Okay.
Unless you want to walk in front of the Shake Shack, that was one of the places, so you could always walk and get ice cream.
Hopefully it's nice.
That'd be great.
We'll certainly want to look at the one that's the most critical. I mean, because that will be the true test, if it makes sense.
Pick a hole, they're everywhere.
So, I
We
guess
don't have that problem.
We can tell them, let them know the date and put on hold and tell them to get back with you if they want the further information on the exact, if they're interested in.
Okay.
I'll take care of that. Anything else for old business from the board? Anything else? Nicole? Stacy, nothing? Okay. And we can proceed into new business. And by our timeframe, we didn't have anything else till the board election is not here in time, order not till 10:30. And that was after. So we'll proceed. We'll start with the bill vouchers.
I have bill vouchers 46, 47, 48, and 49. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the VAP court costs and miscellaneous fund, 138, putting $185 into supplies, $150 into other expense, for a total of $335. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the VOCA expansion project fund, 112, putting $350 into travel, $750 into other expense, for a total of $1,100. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the sheriff rotary fund, 074, putting $367.69 into their workers' comp line. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the law enforcement trust agency fund, 046, putting $3,000 into equipment. I have a resolution authorizing an appropriation adjustment within the general fund, moving $611.31 from salaries to equipment. This is at the request of the prosecutor's office.
Did we over appropriate the full-time salary for the prosecutor? Is that how there was money in there?
Yeah, there must have been.
Okay.
Office. I think we had some, I think
That's a
because somebody.
statutory number, isn't it?
Not that line.
That's not a.
Not that line.
Okay.
No.
all right.
Nope. I have a resolution rejecting all bids received April 14th, 2014 for the PLE Township Road 75-2.66 precast concrete box. I have a resolution setting time, date, and place to receive sealed bids for the 2014 Seneca County Chip Seal Program, C1403. This will be 10:15 a.m. Tuesday, May 13th at the Seneca County Commissioner's Office. A resolution setting time, date, and place to receive sealed bids for the PLE Township Road 75 2.66 precast reinforced concrete boxes. Having to rebid it from the previous. This again will be on May 6th at 10:15 here at the Commissioner's Office. I have a resolution authorizing the Seneca County Engineer to post change in bridge legal load limit on County Road 30-2.31. A resolution authorizing the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to enter into a contract with Pre-Stress Services Industries LLC for Seneca Township Road 102-.78 pre-stressed box beams. I have a resolution authorizing the cellular contract with Altel Wireless on behalf of the Seneca County EMS. Their current AT&T has been bought out by Altel, and so they're switching.
Other way around.
Other way around, okay. Other way around. AT&T's bought out Altel. They're sending some test phones to make sure our heart monitoring could still go over the new network, so. I think that's all the resolutions I have.
The motion,
I make a motion, we approve the resolutions as outlined.
I will second.
motion, and a second. Any questions, concerns? Just want to confirm the first sealed bid for the CHIP program, that one was the 13th, and the one for the rebid of the bridge was the 6th.
6th, correct. Both at 10:15.
The 13th, I would had a request in to see if we could change the 13th date to the 14th. I have a prior commitment there, if at all possible. Ask my fellow commissioners if they could move the 13th to the 14th, and if there's a,
We have a public hearing that day for CHIP.
for the 13th.
And the 14th, I have, I'm in leadership class that day, on the
It
14th,
can't
so.
be done. I just will not be here on the 13th.
All right,
Sorry.
the motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Wagner,
Yes.
Commissioner Zoller,
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy.
Yes. All approved, thank you. All right, I see also under new business, we have the CSB boiler.
Yes, let's see. We've been stringing the boiler along at the CSB for a couple years now, and we barely made it through this winter. Dean had to get a quote, and we got another quote coming. The boiler, $28,827 for the new boiler at the CSB. It has a lot of details. I'm not a plumber, so I don't know what they mean, but we've been trying to keep that boiler running, and it's gonna need replaced. So I just wanted to update you guys on that, and I'll let you know when we get another quote in. Then it's not gonna make it another winter, so
So that's a replacement.
it's a replacement, yeah.
How much do we spend on maintenance a year for that?
That was the one that we spent, was it $20,000 just to have it repaired?
Oh,
Coil on it, was that the one?
That was the chiller, wasn't it?
what's the chiller? What are they, what is
That's
it?
the air conditioning.
That's the air
Oh.
conditioning, yeah. I don't remember, I'll have to look.
Okay, well, it's either here or there. It is,
Yeah.
so he's gonna get 2-3 quotes.
Yes, yep, yep.
Who's this, well, who's this one from?
Sycamore?
Sycamore Contract.
Yep.
Yeah, if we spent 20,000 to repair it, then that's a no-brainer, we gotta do something.
Let me pull those numbers just to make sure. But we've been putting money into it, and it's leaking, and,
I'm thinking that was the air conditioning we spent that
okay, that might
chunk
have
of
been.
change on.
That they had to pull the equipment out and take it out.
Thinking, but I could be wrong too.
Okay.
All right. And we are past the 10:30 timeframe for Time Warner and Palm, and I see them in the hallway, and Palmer to talk to with us.
Good morning.
Right on cue. Right on cue.
Well, my wife said the same thing. Good morning.
Morning, Merle.
Commissioners, it's good to see all of you again. Good morning. We're going to talk to you a little bit about your control system. I'm also going to talk a little bit about how you're going to be able to monitor your buildings and the network that you look like you should be putting in to accomplish that. About Eric Van Kirk from Time Warner. He's been doing a review of your telecommunications and the things that you have out there and how the county currently functions and ways in which the county can basically get a better opportunity to reduce their telecommunications costs in some fashion, or basically their operational processes, and improve the ability to have better security, especially in this day and age with internet issues and everybody coming and being able to look at you, you have a unique condition here where you have a lot of opportunity for people to come in and take a look at your operation through internet that you don't really have. I don't want to say you don't have a monitor, but it's not controlled as well as it could be. So Eric's going to give you some ideas on what you can do, and out of that you'll be able to determine, okay, here's where we are, this is a potential solution, and here's where we can go to improve it. Out of that, truthfully, the control system is going to ride on the network to be able to look at everything. So we need to do that so you can get the controls to be able to look everywhere at them, but we need the network to do that. I did look at some other different kinds of groups of people who would take a look at your community. I chose not to go there with those individuals. Let me tell you why. And a couple of firms, their focus was they wanted to come in and basically just start taking phone lines out and giving you reduced cost. Their purpose was one. They would say, well, we'll give you some dollars back. They would take dollars, like half the dollars for a year of the savings plan. I've seen those systems before. In some places, I guess they work. In my experiences with them in my old life, which I did communications for a number of years in Toledo, it didn't work very well. People usually walked away not satisfied. But that was because maybe those firms were not effective or didn't do a good job. Having that experience, I shaded away from that. I said, I don't think that's what we want. What we really want is to get the county to a place where they can have better communications, a better network, an opportunity to improve things as far as their operations are concerned, a way to do video arraignment without a lot of hassles, and those types of things. So I'm going to let Eric talk about that and give you some feedback and give you some ideas what he has, and we'll kind of leave you some things to noodle, and maybe we can figure out when we want to come back and make some decisions. But I think you need the information to make a good decision in what we're going to do. So,
Okay, excuse me, just so I'm on the right page, I'm a pretty simple person. Is, what you're saying is the format to be able to put the centralized monitoring system for our energy consumption would be on the format or on the platform of the Time Warner one? Okay, okay.
You have the ability to look at every building, but you don't have the ability to look at every building from any one spot. You have to go to each building and look at it. We're going to take that and correct that, correct this, bring that about so you can, your maintenance people can sit in their office state chairs, or they can come over to Stacy's office, so she probably wouldn't want to do that, but they can come over, get in the computer, or Stacy can look and see what's going on in this building.
Can we do that now without the Time Warner thing? That's what I'm trying to...
No.
Okay,
you can only do,
now I understand.
no, you cannot do that universally. You can only do it if you go with that building and look at it. You can't do it in one spot. You don't have that ability. You don't have a network for that.
And we talked about this being a piece we would need if we wanted this
That's
way
correct.
back.
That's
at the
exactly right.
beginning.
Yeah, that's the piece that you're looking at, but to
Yeah.
be able to do that format, the Time Warner will enhance you to be able to do that? You're saying?
It'll enhance the county. I will ride the network, yes, it'll make that happen. It
Okay.
will make that happen.
So we really, you have two processes that really need to be molded together to be able to do it as you're suggesting.
And you hit the nail right in the head. It's two different things, but they blend together and give you a virtual private network that allows you to do many things.
Your system without that won't work.
My system will work, but it'll work very, very inefficiently. You're gonna have to go out and, your maintenance person has to go to every building and do
okay,
something.
okay,
So this way, we can increase the efficiency, reduces staff requirements, and gives you the opportunity to be more efficient in the process. Eric?
All right, well, thanks for your time. Interrupt me as I'm talking, as you have questions, interrupt me at any time. So there's a few aspects here, and I met with Stacy a few times and Earl, and we kind of worked through this. First thing I want to talk about is Earl's building automation system and the network we're going to put in place for that to ride over, which is a complete fiber network. We're looking at 13 of your locations. Right now, it's you have different providers providing different things, little security with any cable or phone line type internet. We're looking on bringing fiber into 13 locations, and I can provide a list to you. Secure fiber doesn't leave our network. Other benefits of fiber: guaranteed uptime. So 99.999% uptime guaranteed for all your locations. Very scalable. We're looking at 1.5 meg at a couple locations. Other locations are 10 meg bandwidth. Okay, any of these can go up to a gig. 1,000 meg. So very scalable as you grow, as he may want to do more things, as you may want to do more things, video, arraignment, things like that, we can always upgrade. And once it's in place, that upgrade's 2 weeks probably. Enterprise support, right now, whether it's AT&T or us, you're calling an 800 number, someone's asking you to, well, did you reboot your modem, things like that. All of our fiber customers get enterprise support, meaning you have the same support as the largest customers in Ohio. Okay, so it's a lot different ballgame than what you experience now. I know troubled with calling AT&T and things like that. So we build fiber into 13 different locations, all right? They all talk to one another, any-to-any connection. They can all see each other, okay? Basically, you have 13 locations. They all meet in the middle. Earl can monitor because of that, okay? With that, you get rid of all your DSL connections, all your Time Warner cable connections. These 13 locations will ride back to over our fiber, 117 East Market, and all go out the fiber internet there. 20 meg connection, 20 down, 20 up. Okay, all these fiber connections are also dedicated to you, not shared like DSL and our cable modem. So that's a big benefit. So future growth, reliability, scalability, fiber throughout the county is a lot more secure than what you have today. Okay, so also that gives you one provider for all of your internet needs. So that's basically, Earl, do you want to add anything to that?
I think there's a lot of terminology that I think I deal with. One of the things that you have in the courthouse, the judge has what they call 50 up, 5 down. What that means is he can upload a lot of
No,
material.
50 down, 5 up.
Okay.
And I could talk on that as far as the,
Okay. Those things are important to your county as far as communication to allow information in and information out. So the system that we're looking at will universally give everybody more opportunity to transfer data. Let's talk about whether it be county data across the network, whether it be the probate court or the judge at common pleas. They won't have to have their own separate line. Everybody can ride that line, and all information is more freely transferable, still secured, but they don't have to have all these various types of lines you have out there now. You have a multitude of different things. The value of this system is you can make it work at each building for what it needs. No one has to have the same thing all the time, but you can get them to that same place if you choose. You can start them small and work them up and do those things. So Eric can talk about that, but that's the value I see. You do not have to be the same, but you do have the ability to increase to whatever you need based on the building. And that changes the cost, by the way. Lower requirement, lower cost, higher requirement, higher cost.
and you can also decrease speed. If one of your locations, you start at 10 meg, and all of a sudden you go down to 2 or 3 people, or just things change the way you're doing business, you can go down as low as 1.5, which will save you $150, $200 a month. So anytime during the term, you can increase or decrease speed, and obviously costs associated with that. So that goes for all the essentially point-to-point circuits from the remote locations to 117 East Market, and also for the internet circuit out. Earl mentioned the judge, and I know he had conversations with some of our inside sales folks in the past, and it sounded to me like he needed 5 meg minimum upload. He may have needed more, but that's our highest coax. DSL doesn't even come close to that, but our highest coax, which he has today, is 5 meg up. Share, so in reality he's probably seeing 3. This will give him 20 up, 20 down, 20 up. And we can always, again, take that up to 1,000 down, 1,000 up. So that's the big benefit to the fiber piece. Secure, reliable support, really doesn't go down. Now, a fiber line might get cut, right? But it really doesn't go down other than that. 99.999% uptime. And we back it up by paying you if we don't meet that service level agreement. Earl system running on that. So obviously with building fiber at 13 locations throughout the county, there comes a cost, a monthly cost, right? So we were brainstorming, what can we do to try and negate that? And we started looking at all your locations and all your phone lines and all your providers and what building has what lines, and it got very confusing. I know Stacy called AT&T and said, just give me a number of lines that I have at each location. They can't even do that. So, yeah.
I've been trying for 5 years to get a list of our phone lines, and they can't provide an accurate list. They ask us for the account number half the time.
So, wait a second, don't we get bills from?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
I mean, just count all the bills you get in and
And I reviewed every single bill Stacy sent me. What it'll show is 3 lines for $2,000, 7 lines for $4,000. Well, there's something missing here. You're not paying that for that number of lines. So when I looked at your bill first and I said, well, Stacy, it appears you have 34 lines or whatever the number total was on the bill. She goes, no, that's not even close. Just this one location and that location. So she sent me a list of what she has. We cannot match it up with AT&T could not provide us or Stacy an accurate list of your phone numbers. I know I've been in this business a long time, probably 15 years. First time I've experienced this, right? There may be some typos or things like that, but she has a list of 157 numbers. AT&T's given me a list of 35 numbers, which is no way accurate. So another benefit to this project is we can look at each location, okay? We can start here first, right? And figure out what lines they have. We can take our time, go building by building, figure out what lines are actually here, port them over to Time Warner. There's significant savings here as well. Port them over here, all right, you have 6 lines here they are, boom, 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 boom. We move to the next building, again. Slowly looking at every aspect so there's no downtime, there's no missing numbers, things like that. We move to the next building and do the same thing. Okay, there's 8 lines here. Port them over, put them on Time Warner, and move on to the next one. This will give you one provider for all of your internet needs, all of your fiber needs, all of your phone needs, and you will have an accurate list of finally what is going on at each location. Because right now, AT&T can't provide it.
So eventually all the phones would be on Time Warner?
Yes, sir.
Now, does that mean we eliminate our long distance charges too?
We can, absolutely. There's 2 ways of looking at this. So our local lines, and this is another thing we talked about. First, I was thinking we bring them all over on unlimited national calling lines. It's only $5 more than the local lines. But if you really have 157 phone lines, $5 more times 157 is a lot. So when there's 4 or 5 lines, I just propose do it all unlimited. But with this, we can bring them all over on local, and each month after we switch over, we can look and see what lines it makes sense to switch to unlimited national calling for $5 a month. Because if these are just incoming lines or a fax line you rarely use or just local lines that rarely call on business, why pay $5 a line for say 100 lines when it wouldn't make sense to? So really it's just taking building by building and getting a grasp of what's going on, what lines you have, what's the usage. We can switch it for $5. You know, here it might be 2 lines that need unlimited. And then you also have the PRI at 117 East Market, which shares
The RTA
building.
Right.
What's a PRI?
I'm sorry, 117 East Market, you have a prime rate interface. So rather than bringing in individual phone lines, like here, it's basically a pipe of 23 usable channels at once, okay? So there might be 70 people there working, for example, but rather than bringing in 70 lines for each one, those 70 people share the 23 lines. And they each have their own DID, it's called, direct inward dial, their own extension. So once the break-even point on a PRI is about 13, if you have a building that you need more than 12, 13 lines, then it starts to make sense to have a PRI. Okay? On that note, slow me down, ask any questions. Future thinking. Once we bring everything over and we have a full grasp of what's going on, what lines you have, and you know, here's your savings. With all the fiber in place, you could implement a new phone system where you actually get rid of all your phone lines except your PRI at 117 East Market. Now this might be a year down the road, 5 years down the road, but with the fiber in place, you purchase a phone set, phone equipment, phone system, it rides the fiber over to East Market and then out the phone lines there. So there's potentially huge savings down the road, but any savings I'm going to show you today is just apples to apples, from what I can tell. Okay?
That's a good place to start. Figure where we're at now.
Yeah.
What gets us the same.
As far as maintenance things, and when you talk about this being for the internet, am I going too far to say what about, because now we all have maybe even different people providing our service when we have issues because of what we've got. and like backup and those kinds of things. So is this going to increase those capabilities? Not that Time Warner would do that, but that's some of those things that would,
Back up.
which is a security aspect as well.
I think
Am
the
I
only
getting-
place we knew that you may have to have a backup internet line was public service. An EMS.
Yes.
And we left that there.
Yep.
Because we thought, in the event that there's a problem, that building should have dual access in and out. And that was the only place that we felt that was gonna be an issue within regard, with the uptime capability of Time Warner, to leave that alone, but just do not take anything away from EMS. Let them have a secondary outline.
Are we talking phone here or internet?
Internet.
The backups would still be
They're still-
internal. That would be,
That's
this
still
is just the,
separate.
yeah,
This is
that's
not
separate.
gonna do anything that up, okay. That's it.
And to add on that, internet, so if, say the fiber to this location goes down, it only affects this location, okay? Because how we're tying everything together with fiber, it's still not a one building going down is going to affect everything. If this goes down, even though it's linked in, it's not going to affect the other 12 locations we're building fiber to. Just here, now, obviously, that matters, and we got to get it up as soon as possible, but one building going down doesn't take down the whole thing.
Well, I mean, there's
A lot to
there's a
learn, but.
ton of things, and, you know, a lot's gonna come down to cost.
Sure.
We gotta, you know, to implement this, what's the cost?
Mhm.
The monthly operational cost, and what's the current cost we have now? Let's compare those, and then from there, I think we're in a better position to make it.
Right.
Then what Earl's saying, this will be the platform that will help you do the.
We'll ride it, it's actually what it becomes is an infrastructure change to the county, for the ability for the county to do multiple things, but you don't have that currently. So, yes, I'm gonna ride that network for the buildings that we're monitoring, and be able to do what you need to do, but it provides the county the greater array of opportunities to do things, communication-wise, control-wise, security-wise, systems-wise, than you currently have.
At one point, we had lots of other county office holders in the room, but we have one left. Julie, and do you have a question? Or,
Yeah,
like I said,
just as
they're
a-
in the other buildings with them.
Okay.
Yeah, just as a side comment, and this is something I wanted to ask the commissioners to revisit over the past year or so, possibly looking to reinstate the data processing board. The ORC does allow for the commissioners to dedicate that group, where the auditor sits on it. I think the recorder was on it. It was disbanded in 1992. I think there was some misdirection with what the board was seeing and what the commissioners were doing. But I would respectfully ask you to consider revisiting that, because this kind of investment for the county really should have a group of stakeholders involved. I can vouch for the auditor's office that the past 2 years, looking at our internet needs, it's increased, and in fact, we're using the 550, I believe, through the judges because of doing web-based applications. So, considering that, I would respectfully ask that you look at reorganizing the data processing board and maybe taking this kind of an issue to them.
Well, rather than setting up a board again, perhaps we could just get a few of the people that would be involved to look at this special project. I don't know,
Same
few people
thing.
that may have some knowledge in
Who's on the
high-tech
board? I
stuff.
mean, what was
The
the board
code requires
comprised of?
certain members, and
The
I think-
auditor, the recorder, the IT person from Job and Family Services, clerk of courts, and there may have been one or two more that I can't recall.
We
It
could-
seems logical to me. I don't know, I guess I have to look at what that is, but to have a group look at it versus, like I said, we could hash all day, and we might make you talk in circles because of our limited,
Sure.
knowledge on the subject.
and that's why we pay at IT as well.
Yeah, we could have Jake take a look. at
We've done numerous conference calls with him.
I was just saying, and we could
to make
involve
sure.
him if we did the board. That's probably why.
Yeah, he was in
invite
on a
him to
couple
come to
meetings.
that
Yep.
Okay.
as well.
I would strongly recommend, I agree with you. I mean, my knowledge of IT would make a very, very short story, and you get the gurus of that are the stakeholders in that to be part of that process, and takes the weight off of us and really on the people that are gonna use the system. And, you know, I hate boards and committees, but sometimes they're necessary.
And gurus love fiber, so I'm all for it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the statute does allow for it, and there's a reason why, so I will certainly share that ORC with you.
Okay, thank you. You had some more info.
Now, I
on
can,
this?
yeah, I mean, I can get into proposals and I don't know my timeline or how much time I have if you want to do this.
Let's just hit one thing. The cost differences, just switching over to Time Warner.
Okay.
Getting that feedback. So
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
That way we're comparing apples to apples right now.
This, I just made it very simple and straightforward, and I can break it down however you want to see it, but just to give you an idea of what you're looking at. And I can't promise this info is accurate because AT&T can't tell us. But just looking at what you have, okay, left side's existing services, everything we could gather, you're paying for 157 phone lines. Seems like a lot to me, and once we break this down and actually see what you're using, because even the list I received from Stacy that she got from AT&T, I did a lot of dialing, and a lot of them were disconnected. Or a lot of them were no one answered, which means it might be active, might not, but you'd be surprised how many were actually just disconnected. Who knows how long they've been. I don't know if you're paying for them or not, because AT&T won't list numbers on the bill, but there's just a lot of work that needs to be done to get an accurate list of what you have, and by switching this over location by location, we can get that done for you, okay? But let's just say you have that. Right now you have 157 lines, the 23 channel PRI I talked about, where everyone's sharing the phone lines, the DIDs, you have a remote call forward line, which with us is like $14 a month. And what I got with your bills was 5 internet connections. You're going to have more. I assume you have one at each location. But the bills, and a couple of these were ours, okay, so those 5 internet connections go away with our fiber solution. This is minimum savings. There's going to be more because there's stuff we're missing or there's too many phone lines. This is minimum savings today. And is it okay just to spout this out? You know, what you're paying today and things like that?
Yeah.
Okay, so today, for the bills I were given, you're paying $7,608 a month for what I explained above. Bringing over apples to apples, the phone lines and the PRI, you'd be at $5,098. That's a savings of $2,510 a month. And I can confidently say it's not going, the savings, that's minimum savings. Once we figure out what you have everywhere, 157 lines is a lot. That's a lot of POTS lines, what it's called, just plain old telephone lines. I'm not saying you don't have them, because if you do, there's your cost with us. But once we get through this, there's probably going to be, those lines are going to go down.
I can tell you from my old life, sometimes I go back if I can. I had communications, we had a manufacturing facility, I had a corporate office. We had about 550 people. I had a telephone switch with 1.5 T1s, or about 36 lines total. That was long distance, overseas, local calls, and we did not use it all up. So it really became a matter of controlling or determining how to manage that things. And people could get calls, they'd call out and they'd go out and make their calls, was no problem. We didn't have that issue. So I'm just telling you that you have it, a lot of phone lines for what you need to do. It may need to do it the way it is right now, but it means they're not really coordinated well, and this opportunity is to make that happen, so.
Okay.
I'm 100% for moving forward with this based on our history with AT&T and the lack of cooperation that we've received through the years with that. The cost savings allow us to implement the
This is still
hookup,
towards the network, right?
the network.
We got to talk about this.
But we'll have to run it by, I think especially Jake, because Jake, he knows this stuff inside and out. We pay him a few dollars
Sure.
to look at it. But if we run it by someone else too, the people she talked about, that's fine with me. I don't know that we need to set up a board, but we could appoint Mike Dell and Julie and Mark Zimmerman or whoever the statutory people are on that board for a one-time look at things. That would be fine.
That makes sense to me. I mean, I think we're gonna have the savings, so
Oh, I mean, I agree. I mean, the
If they get
savings,
better, if they get better, you know.
yeah, this is a no-brainer right out of the box.
Yeah.
What I'm concerned about is the additional things that you talk about doing. I want to get buy-in of that, and certainly look at the cost of that, and
Absolutely,
then
absolutely.
let's look at the advantages of that. But here, to make a switch, I mean, absolutely, there's a savings, reputable company, helps Earl and his things. I mean, that's a no-brainer.
But I want to be perfectly clear, the network that goes up will take money. But I think it's appropriate for you to get to the place where you can say, we're making a decision, we're making moving in the right direction. We'll work the network up and see what we have to do to make that happen. We gotta ride that, but we gotta get to this point first before we can go there.
Do we want to establish a board just to make this switch, which is going to be a replacement of exactly what we got? I mean, I don't think we need a
But
board
it's
for
with the
that.
fiber in place, we'd have to put the fiber in place.
You've got two issues. But
To what you mentioned first, you can establish a board. I'm going to need a main point of contact, whether that's Stacy or the board, throughout this process, because if AT&T gave us accurate list, this would be easy, right? As easy as anything else. This may not be. We're not going to install until we have everything in place, but just making sure the information is correct. Number of lines, installation dates, working with Jerry, making sure we're coordinating that. So I'm going to need someone here, once I get a list from AT&T, I'm going to say, well, here's what they're showing. Can you take a look? Can you talk to whomever, confirm on your side, and then once we coordinate and agree, we can schedule the install date. And that's going to be each location. Because the last thing I want is for you to lose a number that's important that someone needs to call, and it's because AT&T didn't list it or we didn't list it. So I'll just need someone to work closely with throughout the process. Because I'm telling you, installing fiber at 13 locations is going to be easier than bringing over phone lines. Just because of the info or lack thereof that is being provided to us. So if you mention a board, that's great. That's really up to you. I'll just need.
I think Stacy would be the point of contact.
Okay.
Whether we have a board or not.
Well, the board would only be to do the additional things, just to, the added advantages you're talking about.
If you want to put in a VoIP system or things like that.
Yeah,
to review
there I think we need a board, but as far as changing this and just making the switch, I don't think we need a board for that.
Okay.
Do we want to get, why don't you, I would suggest we just have Stacy then call Jake and say, this is what we're looking at. Does it sound okay to you? I know you've worked together throughout the process, but just for our peace of mind, talk with
Absolutely.
Jake and make sure that because he does all of our IT
Yeah.
for the county.
And I wanted him to make sure that what the judge currently had, because they pay for their own service, I didn't want them to have to renegotiate a contract, because Judge did wonderfully when the auditor's office did some upgrades and things slipped our minds, so Time Warner worked well with the judge and got, but Judge had said before that they can't go any larger, so it would
Right.
cost the county if it, so I wanted to make sure that would be.
If he says it looks good, I'd say it looks good.
Yep. And then to establish the board for the whistles and
future
bells. if
projects,
you wanna
things like
say.
that. And you mentioned the fiber project. I just want to make sure we all completely understand here. This is just savings apples to apples, right? This doesn't include the potential fiber project of building fiber to 13 of your locations, right? Okay. I have this info. Do we have time to?
But that, in order for this to work, we need that fiber.
The only thing
No.
that would change here if you didn't do the fiber is we wouldn't get rid of these 5 internet connections. So the price would go up a few $100, right?
Okay.
But as far as phone lines,
They would take-
there's
okay.
huge savings
All right.
there.
Just give us the bottom line on what it costs to put in fiber.
13 locations. Bottom line is per month, $5,061. Now, we can add locations, which would obviously add money. We can take away locations if you don't necessarily need it today or Earl doesn't
Or
need
you
it.
can reduce the speed.
And let me just get everyone one of those.
For us to add fiber, we're talking about $5,000 more a month.
Correct. So
Then you take the savings away.
now that, again, that's for 13
Yeah,
locations.
but that's really for the added whistles and bells.
Well, that's
Not
for
to duplicate what we're doing now, we don't need the
Right.
fiber. Is that
Correct.
correct statement?
That's a correct statement.
So there's where the board will come in. They have to come back to us to justify that the additional costs that we're gonna incur, that there's the advantages that will warrant that additional cost.
Right.
But at this point, to make this switch, $2,500 savings, we don't need to do that.
Understood.
And we just included all of the buildings just to give a quote on this. There's some of the buildings, I mean, that currently don't have anything, may not need it, so
I need 9.
need 9, yes, he needs 9.
And as I mentioned earlier, let me find one of my, 11 of these were priced out at 10 meg, might be overkill,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And if you start at 10 meg, you can always decrease. If you start at 1.5, you can always increase. It's all through a state term, which means it's black and white. It makes it easy for me because there's no price negotiation necessarily. All through a state term, which is much less expensive than commercial pricing, right? A typical commercial business. And the benefit of that is price and the ability to decrease speed or increase speed at any time. Commercial business can always increase, but a lot of times if they decrease, we can't give them a price break. So looking at these 11, you may change this from 11 to make connections to 3, and the others are 1.5, or you may get rid of a couple. So again, this is, and this includes the dedicated internet, okay? But this is, much like your phone lines, this is the big picture. This is, I don't want to say worst case in the sense that, but it's not going to be any more expensive than this. And there's ways to cut that down significantly if you look and see what bandwidth is actually needed at each location, and if fiber is even needed there.
I would suggest we, after she talks to Jake, we go with the apples to apples change
Yep.
and give this some thought, because this is a significant amount of money, and
Absolutely.
like I say, run that by some folks that.
Well, there's where a board,
Yeah, I can
people that are more knowledgeable to us, for you to sell it to them, sell it to them, the merits of it, and then they come back to us and say, hey, this is justified, and we can,
I could go along with
Yeah,
that.
and some of these locations, they're spending some money they would not need to spend if we
That's
had
correct.
this.
Exactly
So
right.
there's,
The board
not in all of them by any means, but in some
determine
of
that
those.
for you, what you really need there.
Yeah.
Some of the buildings wouldn't need what others would need.
All right.
Courthouses are different than some other buildings have.
you get me all excited when I seen the $2,500 savings, and then you turn around and
Yeah.
cost $2,500.
Well, I think we're all on the same page.
What do they call that, a carrot and?
Except the-
Look what I can do.
The switch over, the phone- yeah, the phone
Do you,
lines, that's.
do you understand where the board's at?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so we don't need to.
And then, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say thank you for the information and time, and I'm sure you will leave anything with her, they'll say, we,
Yeah. And once we get through these phone lines in with each building, you're probably going to see a lot more savings that could go against the fiber build out.
I can't see her right there. Oh, there she is.
Here I am.
Missing
Also,
the-
in relation to the, doing the fiber into the buildings and having somebody look at it, I always want to put out there that, our building is different. Juvenile court is a different animal. We do pay for a connection in the building, we pay for connection to Fostoria, because we have a location there. We also have a connection out at the youth center. We have a connection at our public guardian's office, which is a, Bright Net type thing, weekend connection. And then we also have, looking to do another one, so we can have a backup server. So a data processing group or committee, whoever you would determine to be on that, or whatever committee you want to call it, would have to have that kind of information too.
Right.
And so a lot of times we've been speaking to the fact of, when you have an off-site server, we need backups, for what we do. Which we're gonna develop an off-site server with, you would actually have joint server capacity too. So,
Sounds
the
like
servers
our
are very expensive.
Sounds like our
Couple
first
questions on
volunteer
that.
for the community.
Yeah.
You mentioned backup to back up your data at your locations. What do you do today for that, or is this a project you're trying to implement?
We already do, we do backup tapes, from our application server right now. We are looking to purchase a new server because ours is getting old, okay, running out of its little life. And so we're gonna take that backup server, take our old server and use that as a backup.
Where are you going to put it?
We have several ideas of locations, and that's where we're getting into negotiations of where we might place that, because we don't necessarily want to add another line, So one of our places was out of the youth center. We're not really sure how.
And how would you connect to that?
Like I said, I don't know yet.
You
No, I
don't,
don't.
because we do some of that,
Okay,
right? And, I mean, it's just some information I can provide to you to take a look at.
that'd be great.
Okay.
So-
I can just talk to you afterward, just to get your contact info or your email or something.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay?
Vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Can you just email me your
Past our time
info
a bit
and then
here, but do we have the
send you a little info?
Antigras people here?
Gina, you're on.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Commissioners. My name's Gina Piacentino. I'm here on behalf of Integris. I have Julia Hall here as well. She's just going to give you a little kind of background about the company, and then I'll give you a little bit of information about our pricing that we've talked about. This is involving the CNI pricing for the county buildings, so go ahead.
Hi, my name's Julia Hall with Integris Energy Services. And we were first brought in to talk about aggregation services that we offer, and that's my background is in aggregation. We're here today to talk a little bit about the commercial and industrial, as she said, pricing and the products we provide there. But I realize you guys don't really know us. Integris Energy is not very well known around here, so I'm here first of all to try to rectify that little issue. So Integris Energy Services is a utility holding group that's based in headquartered in Chicago, Illinois. It's a Fortune 1000 company, and it is the parent company for Michigan Gas Utilities, North Shore Gas, Upper Peninsula Power, Trillium Compressed Natural Gas, as well as the company that I work for, which is Integris Energy Services. We provide commercial and residential services in about 15 states. Across the Mid-Atlantic and Michigan, the Midwest Plain states. We have a very strong financial background, which is really important when we're looking around at some of our utilities in the area that are struggling financially and selling off a lot of generation capacity and things like that. We have a Moody's Baa1 rating and an S&P A-. So just wanted to pinpoint our financial strength there. And that comes from the strength of our entire portfolio. We're one of the few providers in Ohio that can serve natural gas and electric needs. So we have both power and natural gas capabilities. And we can also work pricing discounts when the two products are coupled together. And we also have some business partners that help with small business incubation. So those are just a few of the features about Integris Energy Services and why working with us can bring some benefits to the county. Does anyone have any questions about the company or what we do?
Thank you. Commissioners, with the pricing that Commissioner Zoller had provided, obviously the market is volatile. Last week we provided a pricing that compared to what was provided by Palmer, we can provide different month terms, 18-month term, 24-month term, 36-month term. This is all starting on May 1. If we start on May 1, we can offer with an 18-month term 0.69 per kilowatt hour, and that would save the county $3,773 compared to the 0.71 that was the number that was provided to me. So that's just kind of the background of the pricing. Now obviously the 0.71 was based on the market. Our pricing is also based on the market. We can definitely lock in the pricing for you all, but that's kind of where we're starting here today.
Now, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
They're coming to talk to us about this on Thursday, the
Yes, sir.
Commissioners Association.
Mhm.
But this is well over the bidding amount. We have to bid this. And
Correct.
Palmer Energy, through the Commissioners Association, bid this for us before.
Okay.
I'm curious, and Direct Energy was the low bidder. I'm curious
Direct.
why your company did not bid in the,
We weren't invited to bid.
you weren't invited to bid.
We have to be sent an invitation to bid, and that was not provided. As far as I'm aware, that was not sent.
Okay. You gonna be in the neighborhood Thursday?
Yes, sir. I can be. Yes, sir.
They're still coming? If you wanna be here for the meeting, it's helpful to have both parties in the room at the
Absolutely.
same time.
Yep.
Because I'll tell them, they say, oh, yes, they were, and, if you could be here, that'd be great.
Sure. Yes, sir.
I can check with other people in the company too to see, but as far as I'm aware, that was not provided.
Okay.
And I don't know when that was done, because this is 3 3 years that we've been in the group we're in, right? With the contract we have.
Right, we signed up with, well, I don't know, we
Was
signed
the
up
county in it
with,
before that?
we signed up with Direct Energy, it was about a year and a half ago, we took like an 18-month contract,
Okay.
or maybe it was 24, I don't
Yeah,
remember.
They would have put this out for bid last year. I'm pretty sure we did a resolution last year. But it
What,
was
did we?
back-
Did we? Okay.
And I can take a look, I'm sure it's a matter of public record, take a look to see what the terms and conditions are on that and see how favorably they stack up and where we might have some additional benefits in terms of the terms and conditions.
It just makes me a little nervous because Commissioners Association bids these all over the state, and I'm sure they know who the players are. And now here you're coming outside of that, it just makes me a little suspicious. I don't mean to question your
No,
integrity
no,
at all.
I respect that. No, sir, we're members of the Ohio Municipal League and Ohio Township Association, so we're just getting involved in those, which we don't have a, you know, we're obviously getting kind of our legs in all this stuff. So absolutely, we can be here on Thursday.
That would be great.
Yes,
That would
sir.
be
Yeah, I
great.
mean, the thing just right off the bat, that, you know, it's not a major savings, but the CCAO through Palmer Energy had a .713, and these guys just right out of the box at a .69 something, and so I mean, that, is,
We're very
I have not found the
progressive.
benefit of CCAO that maybe some of the other ones have. I'm just,
Well, it's a consortium we belong to, and that we didn't have to do the RFP process because they did that. If we don't go in that process, we're gonna have to do that, so
Sure, absolutely.
we gotta make sure we don't.
Yep.
Yeah,
No, I respect that.
yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay.
No, but thank you for being here.
Thanks, my pleasure.
you.
Thank you.
when's this, CCAO's gonna be here Thursday?
They're gonna be here Thursday. We had originally canceled the meeting, but that was the only time that this particular person could come, so.
And we thought it was kind of
We
important
didn't-
as
we didn't-
presented.
Thursday,
It's
is
a
this at the
moving,
New Wriggle
it's a
thing?
moving
No,
market.
no,
It's
this is our
target.
regular, this is the last Thursday of the month. We talked about canceling
We
that
talked about
because we're
canceling
gonna-
if we didn't have a need for it, but I think we have a need for it now.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
So that'd probably be about the only thing we talk about that day, I would think,
Yeah.
if we're gonna save some things for Tuesday.
Right.
Because that was my suggestion, we not use up all of our,
See, I
Yeah,
thought they
for
were coming to
Tuesday.
New Wriggle because they couldn't be here.
That was Corsa.
I'm out of, the what?
Corsa.
Oh,
that's
CC,
our-
okay,
that's-
okay, two different
Yep.
groups there.
Yep, Corsa will be coming to the.
Corsa will
Regal.
be a New Wriggle.
Yes.
And I think that there's only a few resolutions for Tuesday, or for Thursday.
Okay.
Cause Tanya was gonna put them on for today, but she said she needs them done, so she's gonna put them on for Thursday.
okay.
That's fine, that's fine.
So it'll be 10 o'clock Thursday, but it'll be a much shorter meeting.
Okay, thank you. All right, any further new business? Oh, okay. Moves to a period of citizen comments, and at this time, we'll glad to hear from citizens. Any issues? Hi there, please state your name for us, and we'll have that for the record. Our meetings are all recorded, but it won't see you, but it'll pick it up.
Thank you. My name is Paula Crum. I live at 5108 South County Road 43, Tiffin, Ohio. Several months ago, the commissioners, each of you were giving a copy of the deed that was written by Troxo to give a building on 28 Clay Street to the county, which is now our county museum. And it is, in that it stated that you are legally to maintain that building, and I'm here to ask why it has not and is not being followed through. You have a beautiful museum there, and many people have come there to see it out of the county and in the county, and their comments have always been, this is a beautiful museum, it's a gem. And there were different exhibits there that people saw, which is now a mom and pop grocery store exhibit, which is in the Fort Ballroom. And many people have come to see that, and they just think it's wonderful. We also have an exhibit of Fleck Easter egg dye, and also that people really enjoy. And then before they leave, they see this Easter tree that the only thing they can say when they see it is, wow. And so I would like to invite you, the commissioners, to come and see this gem that Seneca County does have. And we're open today and Wednesday and Thursday, 1 to 5. And so I'm here just to ask why money has not been given to them in the past and now, under the legal obligation that was stated in the deed as it was given to the county.
As far as I guess, bring me up to speed here, but that if there's been some request for some maintenance things, we do take care of maintenance on that facility?
The new lease with the Historical Society, they are providing the maintenance. But as big projects, say if the roof went down, that would be our responsibility. If the big projects through grants, different things, we had agreed to do those, but the maintenance, they had agreed to take care of that.
That was part of their contract. Excuse me, I didn't interrupt.
No, go ahead.
A few years ago, financially, we decided we were gonna let a private entity run that, and as you know all this history, two groups bid on that or made proposals, the Historical Society and the foundation, I can't think of the Barnes Deinzer Foundation, made proposals to take care of that. We chose the Historical Society, and both of them said they would provide all of the maintenance. Since, well, that was the contract they signed.
Well, as Stacy mentioned, the major obligation is still with the county.
Is there a need right now that that somebody's brought to us that we didn't take care of as a major?
I'm just bringing it up to be presented so that it is going to be discussed.
Okay.
Oh, it always needs maintenance, painting. The
Right, but
porches
the-
need painting, the side porch needs painting,
Right.
things like that.
Yeah.
General maintenance that needs to be done to any building
And
that is owned
And
by
that
the
was in
county.
and that's in the agreement to be done by the Historical Society. So that's what I'm wondering, is there's other things that were under our obligations on that, if haven't been addressed, we certainly want to know that, but that's the current agreement that we have.
That's the current agreement we have. And the foundation has done a couple things on their own to,
No.
did they do the porch or they just
They
talked
did,
about doing the porch?
window?
No,
They did the
nothing's
windows.
been done.
They did the windows. They talked about
So,
doing the
yeah.
porch, or they're gonna make a presentation to do the porch. Are you on the foundation?
No, I am not.
Okay.
I'm a volunteer.
We appreciate that.
I've been involved with some discussions with both the foundation and the Historical Society over the last year or so, where that both of the groups would like to reunite with the county's assistance and to operate both groups would like to see the facility open more and be more accessible to the members of the community. So there was a committee that was formed of the foundation, of the Historical Society, and myself as more of a private citizen, but to look at ways that we could reunite these three groups and to operate the museum more fully. And the suggestion was made, the revenue, the expense of the museum was roughly $39,000 a year. And the suggestion was made if we could form this joint committee, that each of them would contribute 1/3 of the revenue needed to support the museum. Each of, the foundation would support $13,000, the Historical Society would do $13,000, and the commissioners would do $13,000. And then we would set up a joint board that would be 2 members of the foundation, 2 members of the Historical Society, 1 commissioner, and 2 members that are appointed by the commissioners, and they would run this joint board. That was a suggestion that was brought forward that has never really been brought out to my fellow commissioners until just now.
I don't remember all the particulars when both groups made their presentations, but they were gonna keep the museum open the same hours or longer than it was when it was a paid position, and they were gonna do the maintenance, and I don't remember all the particulars, but both presentations were very similar, and everybody seemed that we could live with either one at the time. And the Historical Society was chosen basically because Tanya would stay on with the Historical Society.
And she's doing a beautiful job free.
She is.
And we're all working, all volunteers are working for nothing, spending many hours there. But it needs money, it needs maintaining, which would help. It's a beautiful building, and I hate to see it not being maintained as it should be.
Well, the fact is, you have
I'd
both
like to get a
groups,
copy
well,
of the
they both
so I can
agreed
see it.
with the agreement that the commissioners put forward. They just, neither of them feel that the museum is being operated to its fullest potential. Individually, they can't afford it. If you put the three entities together, that seems to be something that they all felt that they could really promote the museum more and so forth and so on. But again, that's gonna take a $13,000 commitment from the commissioners if they're willing to go that way. I mean, there's been a lot of issues through the years with the different groups. I was pleased, ecstatically pleased at the first meeting that we had on the level of cooperation that there exists between these different entities. But again, it's going to take a commitment from the commissioner's office, and I am not by any way advocating that we take over the museum 100%. And I thought the best workable solution if we would pick up a third with the other two groups, picking up 2/3 of it. And that was amicable to them, but we're now at where we are with the commissioners.
Well, I think a starting point would be to make sure, I guess, let's review that agreement and look at that, because I know I've been told what's in it, I haven't read it. It was put in place long before we were commissioners, so we'll read through that and we can add that to an agenda to discuss where things are at and consideration of the ideas.
And again, I invite you, please, to come by and see it. It's beautiful.
And if there's issues, we need to know, let us know.
Pardon?
We need to know if there's issues or problems, because Tanya hasn't come up and said anything about maintenance issues to me, so.
There is some maintenance issues. I was approached a year ago. I can't find any contractor that wants to tackle the porch. Is deplorable. It is rotted out.
The side porch.
Yeah, and I have tried, and I've had contractors come over there, and they'll give us a bid, and they just never get back with me.
Well, thank you
It's
for.
a tough project, but it's gotta be fixed, or it'll fall down.
Correct.
Loretta Miller, Tiffin, Ohio. I agree with Mrs. Crum that something needs to be done financially for the museum. When the people were faced with being told that all of the artifacts would be sold because there are some valuable artifacts, and that this money could be used for the county coffers and this sort of thing, I think there were some panicked groups that put some plans together that were acceptable to the commissioners at that point in time, without thinking long range. What are we going to do? We can't pay a salary. We can't, do all of these things. And prior to that time, there was a salaried position, was my understanding, and that this has disappeared, and this person is doing this for free. And yet, the commissioners have not stepped forward with any funds. I've gone to some of the fundraising things that they've had at the museum, and the volunteers do a super job. But as representing the county commissioners have a responsibility to the citizens to support the museum in more than just a, keep at it, folks, we appreciate what you're doing. Thank yous don't pay the bills. Thank yous don't encourage people to feel that their work is appreciated or respected. And I think that the county needs to put their money into the museum. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional citizens' comments? Mayor Mons?
Yes, thank you. Mayor Mons, Tiffin, Ohio. I'm just here as a follow-up to my letter that I had sent each of the three of you last week, and also to deliver the resolution that was passed last night by City Council, if I may.
You may.
This is the official copy I'll give to you since you're the board president. I have a copy for them, both of you.
Thank you, Mayor.
There you go, Stacy.
Thank you.
This is essentially Tiffin City Council last night unanimously passed a resolution asking the commissioners to please consider keeping the Board of Elections in downtown Tiffin. We think it's an integral part of the business community in the downtown. It really drives a lot of people to the Board of Elections. Just this morning, I was observing, as I was in the coffee shop at Bailiwicks, the amount of people coming in and out of the Board of Elections. It's the happening place, especially this time of the year. And we do not want to lose that significant driver to our downtown out of the community. And as the resolution states specifically in there, the city is very willing to work with the commissioners if there is anything that we can do. If we can help with the sidewalk issues, parking lot issues, our maintenance department is more than willing to help. We will work with you to make this work, but we feel that it is extremely important that the Board of Elections remains in downtown Tiffin and in the city limits completely. We are the county seat. It is not required by law to be in the county seat, but we think it's extremely important. To lose this office is yet another office that has departed our downtown. And we feel that we really are not in position to lose anymore. We're asking the commissioners to consider making an investment. We know there will be a cost. We're willing to work with you on that. I know it came up last night. I would even be willing to consider helping supplement some of that cost from city funds to make this work. We need this office in downtown Tiffin. It drives people there. The business community in the downtown is behind it. I've been contacted by several business owners myself that said good job after last night. So please consider keeping this building in downtown. If we need to renovate it, if we need to expand that office, whatever it takes, the city's willing to work with you. Just know that we want to be a working partner with you and help keep this office in downtown Tiffin. It's not, at the end of the day, it's not which option's cheaper. Doesn't always mean the best thing for the city of Tiffin, for the citizens, and for the entire county. Sometimes we have to look at the long term, the big picture of what effects this may have if we move yet another office out of downtown Tiffin. Thank you for your
Hoping
time.
the Board of Elections would have been here so we could have had a big group discussion on this, but I don't, I guess
think
David's here, but he's.
I think they may be tied up with the Secretary of State's office. I think they're down.
That could be.
I'm still hopeful, David, since you're a new board. I've asked Jim Fruth last week to give me a list of what he feels is needed to make it ADA accessible, and also a wish list of what he wants. So we can start looking at that. I very much support Tiffin City Council and the mayor on their vote of approval to keep it downtown. And we want to try in every way that we can, or from my perspective at least. So if we can get that from the Board of Election, that at least gives us a punch list we can start working against.
I can speak for a moment. I'm not actually on the board yet. I've been recommended for appointment. It probably will be 2 weeks until I'm actually a board member. But I did go last night and I spoke to City Council quite unexpectedly. Last night I had no plans to do that. So I've been through a couple meetings in the last 24 hours about it. There is money possibly from the Secretary of State's office, the HAVA Act, Help America Vote Act, federal money after the 2000 election that may provide some action funds. Tim Monaco from the Secretary of State's office said that that amount of money is dwindling, so the sooner we get a request in, the better our chances of getting the money. They are concerned about a number of things. First of all, one thing that came up, one question I had is when we moved from the Court Street office, which was clearly not handicapped accessible, to the current office, one of the reasons was it would be handicapped accessible. It's not in other ways, it's now a polling place. That's part of the problem. Because it's a polling place, it has to be, meets different ADA requirements. Also, because of the staff, the way the building is set up, the elevator is actually in the back of the building, accessible from the back parking lot. So if they appoint 2 new staff members who were perhaps handicapped, they could not easily get down to the basement without going out the front door, all the way around the building, to the back to get through the elevator. Obviously not a practical solution. One other problem that the board has is many of the records that they have to maintain are down in the basement. And because election laws require a Republican and a Democrat, they need to have 2 people go down to the basement. They can't just send one clerk down to the basement to get a piece of paper. They have to send 2 people down. A lot of the filing cabinets have 2 keys. There's a Republican key and a Democratic key. So that, it is. It's a problem with, Ohio election laws are bipartisan. Most boards and commissions and city councils have an odd number of members so that you can always break a tie. Boards of elections have 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats. So decisions must be done on a bipartisan basis. There has to be a Republican clerk and a Democratic clerk, so it's always bipartisan. And with the staff turnover that they've had, right now, there aren't people in the office. If you needed a piece of paper out of the basement, I don't know what they would do. I mean, there's only 2 people there. I was there yesterday to drop off some paperwork, and someone came and wanted to vote from their car, which they can do. They have to send 2 people out because there were only 2 people there. The clerks did not show up for work yesterday.
I don't know that that's an accurate statement from my conversation with both clerks yesterday. So I'd rather
One
that
showed
not
up
be
and
entered
one-
into,
okay.
I'm not gonna go into that discussion, they're not my clerks.
I don't want,
But I did communicate to both yesterday morning.
I heard that one apparently came and left 10 minutes later, the other one did not come in.
Again, I don't wanna enter into that discussion right now unless you're gonna force me into it. I really don't think we
I don't wanna-
should.
I
They're
think
not
I'm
my
coming to
clerks.
talk about that. I'm not on the board yet.
Okay.
I'm not on the board. At any rate, speaking personally, I have a business downtown across the street, just half a block away. I would reiterate what Aaron said about Valley Works. It's just another piece of downtown that would be missing. I'd like to have, personally, I would prefer that instead of building just a Justice Center, you were to build a larger building and put all the offices back in. I think you're beyond that point in your discussion of building a new building, but
Will the
I
Help
keep
America Vote
hearing-
Act help with that?
Well, I don't know. how-
We'll give you a
that much
floor
money.
if you can fund it.
They don't have that much money, but I remember as a child, almost everything was in one building in the courthouse. The auditor, the treasurer, the recorder, the engineer were all in one building. I keep hearing from Time Warner today, you have 13 locations. That means you have 13 heating plants, you have 13 air conditioners, you have 13 internet connections. My personal view would be to have a larger number of offices and a smaller number of buildings, but that's obviously your decision. One question that
That would be a great solution. I don't know where the pot of gold is at.
well, perhaps by selling off all the buildings that you've purchased. I know there's not a huge real estate demand for your other 12 buildings, but perhaps if you were to sell off the former bank building and the former library and so forth.
One's been on the market.
At any rate, I would agree with the mayor about, I would prefer county offices be in the county seat. I understand it may be legal to have it outside the city limits. Something I came up while I was talking to council last night is perhaps annexing that territory back into the city. I know annexation is not a easy, quick, simple process. I know it's controversial, but if you were to annex those other offices in Eden Township back into the city limits, then you would have them in the county seat as originally intended.
Only if I could live in Sandusky County, then. Because they'd shoot me.
I have one more point here. I think that's it. I think I covered my points. If you have any questions, I would take them.
I think Holly said earlier, I think it's a good point with what's going on now at the Board of Elections, kind of some upheaval and a new member coming in and so on. I'd like to have them give us a unified opinion of what they want to see before we move forward. I'm not opposed to moving them out to JFS if that's the best fit, and I'm not opposed to leaving them downtown if that's the best fit. Our job is to make sure they have the tools to run the election and to run it properly. So whether that's here, whether that's there, and you're expressing a different opinion now than what the board had said to us a week ago. So I guess if you guys, when you do get in there, if you could come back with a unified, here's what we want to see and here's what it would cost, we can kind of go from there.
Yeah, it's never been the intent to, I don't want anybody, and we didn't mean to overlook anything, or to take it that we were trying to abandon Tiffin or anything else. It was just a matter of looking at addressing the concerns they presented to us at that point in time last year, and because that's when I presented them, oh, here's an option, would this be of any interest to them? And that was in September when I presented that information to them, and we hadn't heard anything back until this winter. So, again, it was just trying to address the 3 main concerns they brought to us. I think we actually attended their meeting. In fact, they talked about that Help America Vote Act, and I don't remember what the discussion was. I just remember that's the first I'd heard about that. And he talked about that money being dwindling then, and that was, like I said, back in July or August of last year or something. So,
excuse me.
He said the money is still there. There is still some money available, but other counties are taking it. There is also an assessment coming in apparently today. They're looking at the office today, so they may be
Yeah, we've never
deciding.
received any communications. It was shared last week that we should have gotten a letter. We have yet to get any kind of letter from the Secretary of State's office saying anything about the ADA concerns. So just if you, I know you're not a sworn-in board member yet, but they're not here to tell, so, yeah, so we never got anything.
Just speaking for me, if the board comes back and says, hey, we want to move to JFS, that's our best option, I'll say, okay, fine, let's move you out there. You come back and say, well, we need to do A, B, and C, and we're okay where we're at, then that's what I want to do, because we want to give you guys the tools to do your job.
Most important, and that was my biggest concern I expressed yesterday to representatives of the Secretary of State's office, is number one is we've got to make sure that we're in the middle of an election, and I know that's a concern of the board from what I heard, obviously as well, and we just need to make sure that we can conduct this election, can take place. They've got the tools, people in place to make sure they do that. That's what's fair for the citizens and for the candidates that we have in this election process. So that was my concern in conversations with them yesterday, because that was the number one concern I have. And like I said, that trumps all right now. And so when the Board of Elections is made whole by a board and staff, and when you come back with a unified thought process of where things are at, we can continue looking and assessing.
Yeah, well, I differ from Commissioner Wagner there. I mean, if the Board of Election comes back and said they want to go to JFS, I totally disagree with that. What I'm trying to do is, we need to look at what is needed to make it ADA accessible. And if we can economically make that place ADA accessible and address some of their wish list, then I strongly, strongly recommend we keep with where we are. And it's not a matter of what they want. It's a matter of what we can provide them at a cost-effective way to the taxpayers, and that's what we do to keep it in downtown Tiffin. Now, if it's cost prohibitive, that's a whole different story then. It just, we can't afford it, then we gotta go the next best option. I don't think that's the case based on what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing from a contractor, but again, I don't have the wish list from them too. I'd like to address as many of their concerns as what they have. You know, space, blah, 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 so forth and so on. If we can accommodate that in a cost-effective way, then it's not a matter of what they want. It's about a matter of what we want to keep them downtown. That's my thoughts.
I don't have the list in front of me, so I'm doing this off the top of my head. I know that parking is a concern, handicapped accessible spot. If you use the parking lot that's adjacent to it, there is a step there. There's a ramp, but there's still a step, so that ramp is not sufficient. And then if they were to hire a handicapped employee, or if a current employee were to become handicapped, access to the basement. I don't know if a wheelchair lift down the stairs there would work or not, I don't know.
7,500, we've addressed the ramp issue and the parking lot issue. Now, what I don't know is that does it have to be handicap accessible when we don't have for the restroom facility, we don't have any handicap employee. If we had one and then we gotta do it, or we gotta do it before? Those are some legal issues we'll need to.
Because the issue right now is that it's grandfathered in based on when 88 laws went into place, so building meets needs. I don't want anybody to think that, I mean, look at our juvenile court building, it's obviously grandfathered, right? There's issues there that are far greater. So so we are in basic compliance, but now the Secretary of State, again, we have not seen that communications.
I think from discussions, and again, I'm not certain, I don't have the paperwork in front of me, I think it's ADA compliant for employees as is, but it is not ADA compliant as a polling place. When it was moved into that building, it was not a polling place because we didn't have early voting. Now that we have early voting, it needs to be ADA compliant as a polling place, and apparently it's not. So that's one of the concerns. One other question I did have yesterday at the board meeting is who makes the final decision? Is it the Board of Elections, is it the Secretary of State, or is it the commissioners? And the answer is it is the commissioners.
So it's our responsibility
It
to
is your
provide them
responsibility to provide
facilities.
the facility, yes.
And again, and trying to offer things that was best for all of their concerns they had. That was where the option came from, how that came about, as well as the fact that it is, even though it's a traffic location in downtown, we have county traffic that comes to that location, and those machines go in and out and so forth. So there's other, things that, on a one level floor that's on that list of that document I gave them back in September. So there was lots of things factored into it, but, okay.
I would be personally interested in seeing that space. I have not been out to the space at Job and Family Services, so if there's some way I can go out and look at it, personally, I would be interested in doing it.
If you can do that during the business hours, that'd be great. We can arrange a maintenance. They were just all out there, and for a couple hours after business hours last week, on Thursday, they went out, but I'm sure that you can coordinate with Stacy, because you'll need maintenance because of the portion of it, unless Job and Family is still utilizing it a little bit while their remodeling is going on. Additional citizen comments? Rich.
Thank you. I'm Rich Vogt. I'm a member of the Tiffin City Council. And not to take away from what the mayor's already said or to elongate this meeting anymore, but the point that I wanted to make was that, first of all, Tiffin is the county seat. The advantage to being a county seat are the government jobs that get created as a result of that. The importance of those jobs is the fact that not just the income that goes to the individuals that serve in those offices or positions, but it's the economic multiplier that is created as a result of those jobs. And you minimize that economic multiplier when you move it outside the city. And I say that because when you look at goods and services and the concentration of those, they're in the city. If you go out south of town, there's no restaurants out there, there's very little retail. So, and the people that come and exchange and visit those offices, they're also adding to that economic multiplier. So I realize that, and I think we all do, that the commissioners have a responsibility here to create and provide the space that's required by law. And we're not saying that, well, ignore that, you can't do that. But I think the mayor's thrown out an olive branch here to, that if there's a way that we can work together, and I think we need to do that. We've been doing that. So there's a way to resolve that. But I also think it's really important for all of you, when you make these decisions, that you really have to factor in the greatest economic impact that those jobs are going to have. And I don't think we've done that in the past. And I think that's important. It's important for the county because I think the biggest revenue source for you is sales tax. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
So I think that we need to be doing things that are going to stimulate sales tax growth, stimulate business growth. And I see these jobs as a great way to do that. And I don't know that we've ever really leveraged those jobs in the best way. So I throw that out there as another consideration, and I don't think that we need to, we shouldn't be blind to it. And I know you're not, but I just want to reinforce it with everybody. So as we move forward, that we're doing things that are really going to get the greatest impact for us. So thank you.
In your experience, how marketable would that building be for a renter for retail type space?
Well, it has good retail value. The other thing is, though, you're looking at traffic, and one of the things that the county generates is traffic. All right, you generate traffic through the jobs, you generate traffic through the visitors that you have. Retail responds to that. If you're going to put a retail establishment in there, it's probably not going to have the same kind of impact that it would have if you had county jobs in those buildings. Then you're going to need retail services to supply, whatever, places to eat, incidentals for people to shop. So that's the way it works. I mean, that's why we always talk about the multiplier effect, and we talk about primary employers, and I don't want to get into all that, but that's why manufacturing is so important, because it drives all these other businesses that want to go along with them. So it's a good spot, no question about it. But I think that the greater impact would be from having more county services, more county jobs here. And when we started to make this move years ago out to the south end of town, I think that was the wrong thing to do. And it was the wrong thing to do from the standpoint of the economic impact that it could have had on your budget on Seneca County. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rich.
Additional citizens' comments, Mr. Leopard.
Thank you, Steve Leopard, Tiffin City Council. One thing that I haven't heard yet is the cost to move from downtown to south of town. I don't believe the Secretary of State's gonna let you use inmates to transport all the file cabinets, all the boxes, and so forth. I think that really needs to be deducted from your
That's in there.
$7,500 cost.
It was on that list for them to tell us.
Making your ADA possibilities a reality. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask the city a question while they're here? If the handicap thing, if we have to do something different there, would you be willing to put a spot in front and do a curb cut there?
Without a doubt, we've already discussed that.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
We'd be glad to.
Councilman Ross.
Jim Roberts, Tiffin City Council. I was here several months ago and talked with you about this at the request of City Council. All I mainly want to say, I know the hour's getting late, is ditto, ditto, ditto. Last night at our council meeting, when we passed this resolution, one councilman was off. He was not there, he was absent. But we had a vote of 6-0 in favor of this resolution requesting it to stay downtown. I think that should carry some weight, that 6 different, very different individuals all said they'd like to see that. And our council president, who does not have a vote, he even expressed his favorable opinion towards this. The Board of Elections, the 3 of them, were at our meeting last night, and I just didn't get too good of vibes from that meeting. It kind of seemed like their mind was made up, you know, that this is much better out there or something, but they stressed one point that I noticed is that, you know, they're serving the whole county, and they are. You're serving the whole county. But I think they overlooked the fact that Tiffin is the county seat. You know, I was born and raised in Tiffin. I bought my house in Tiffin, and I figured I could conduct all my business in Tiffin. When I was a sheriff, I used to be able to walk from my home over to the sheriff's department and the jail because it was right downtown. We couldn't do that here for some reason, even though Hancock County, that great place we always look to the west, Findlay, they built their county jail downtown and kept all those jobs downtown. Another thing I didn't really appreciate too much last night was they kind of belittled the fact that it's only going to be, the one board member had figured up income tax that we would lose as a city. And it was only going to be $3,000. Now, I'm sorry, our bucket's empty. So, you know, anything that we can get dripping into that bucket, we need. So I was kind of offended by the fact that it was only going to be $3,000 in income tax that we'd lose. And who knows what this will spread out to if we continue to expand. So I just hope that you do consider the impact from the council on this, that we're very serious about this, and we certainly hope that you won't move that Board of Elections out of town. There wasn't a single negative comment on that last night, so thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any additional citizens' comments at this time?
My name is Tom Margosi. I'm probably gonna get thrown out of here. But I can't see any reason why the city of Tiffin's gotta be so adamant on this. It's in the best interest of the Seneca County, and like you mentioned, Tiffin is the county seat of Seneca County. But that don't mean anything because Seneca County is a lot bigger than Tiffin, Ohio. I live in Tiffin, Ohio. I've lived in Seneca County all my life. I lived out in the boonies a lot of my life. But if you take a look at making a move, there's things to look at other than trying to keep something in downtown Tiffin. It's convenient. And okay, everybody says of Tiffin, Mr. Zoll is this. I like it because it's here in town. Okay, what about Attica? What about Bloomville? What about Republic? What about Metamora? What about Fostoria? What about the people that can come out there and vote in that area or go to the election board in that area without having to go in downtown Tiffin, fight to get a parking spot, and worry about handicapped accessory? I mean, it's a case of what can be done, the best way it can be done, not to take and satisfy the city of Tiffin, even though I live in Tiffin. I'm close to being out of Tiffin, but I do live in Tiffin. I say that we don't look at it from the respect of Tiffin, we look at it from the respect of Seneca County, and Seneca County is a good bit bigger than Tiffin. That's all I gotta say.
Okay, thank you. Any additional citizens' comments? Or Mr. Kell?
If I could address that briefly, we have polling places throughout the county. There are 51 polling places through the county on election day, so all of
Yeah, but
those
I'm
people.
talking about board, you know, going into the board
Yeah.
on other occasions.
You also have the option of voting absentee, voting by mail. So you have lots of opportunities to vote without coming into the,
I agree with that, but I'm
Coming into
saying
the
about
office.
anybody wants to go into business in that down there, and that's what it amounts to. It's partial voting and business, direct business with the office. And it's not anything that's gotta be in Tiffin. The county is the county, and anything that the people of the Seneca County can contribute to, they can contribute to it. It don't have to be to the city of Tiffin.
if you were to move a county office, say to Bloomville, that makes it farther away for a
I'm not
much larger
saying move it
number
to
of people.
Bloomville, I'm saying a mile and a half or 2 miles out of the
Yeah.
city limits, and it's convenient for other people in the county, and I'm not saying even to move it, I'm just saying, look at the facts and the thing, which is the best place to put it.
Points well
And the best
taken on
place
both
may
sides,
not-
and at this point in time, if you don't mind, I think we've had enough, I think you made a very good point, and you two can continue this discussion after we adjourn the session. Are there any other additional comments from other people who have not had a chance to do that?
I'd just like to thank the Tiffin
Thank-
City Council for coming. Maybe they want to restructure their meetings now to pattern after us.
Yeah.
After they've seen this.
This is
More
a record,
efficient-
a
more
new
efficient
record,
type
a
meeting,
new
yeah.
record meeting, yeah. Any further business? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I move.
Seconded.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Thank you very much.